Censorship in anime is a hot button topic. Honestly, when I made my video here recently talking about the content that was moving from Funimation to Crunchyroll, it obviously bugged a lot of people, including myself. But now I'm here to give an update on what's going on with the whole transition and really get people up to pace on how I see things are going now. And surprisingly enough, there's hope. So definitely stick around. To quickly get people caught up on the situation, for those that don't know, Sony has bought Funimation, and then later they bought Crunchyroll. And while the two were staying alive for quite a while simultaneously together, at some point Sony decided they wanted to merge Funimation into Crunchyroll, make it one company. Well, in order to do this, all of the streaming content that's on Funimation's platform has to move to Crunchyroll. And the unfortunate thing that we were seeing that I covered in my last video is a lot of that content, even though they had options for both uncut and cut, meaning censored or uncensored, the censored version were coming over, but not the uncensored version. So it was creating a lot of controversy. It was a lot of fears. This is not just naughty stuff. We're talking violence as well. Violence was getting censored. So you had things like Akudama Drive. They were getting the censored version, so the violence was censored. And yes, technically all the nudity and stuff from things like Seven Mortal Sins and stuff was censored as well. There was no happy ending to that video. I was very upset at the idea, and I didn't know why. There was no answers. Obviously, Crunchyroll's not answering why they're only moving the censored stuff, and it was creating a lot of controversy. So now everybody's caught up. Let's get into the now. What has changed? And this is an interesting thing, because while I was building up this whole thing about how things are getting worse, at some point, I seen a light at the end of the tunnel. So what happened? At some point, I got an email. It was a press release, and Crunchyroll was telling everybody in this email, hey, look at the new lineup of releases that are coming over from Funimation. Be excited. And I looked at that list and I'm like, okay, there's a couple things in there that I'm going to look at to see if it's the real version or if it's the censored version. And I thought, hey, why not? Why not reply to it? What could hurt? The worst thing that could happen is they don't respond to me. Well, I was actually surprised that they actually responded. My response was, do you have any word on when or if Crunchyroll will be moving the uncensored content from Funimation? I noticed that most of all versions moved over already have been censored. Akudama Drive, My Girlfriend is a Gal, Azure Lane, Seven Mortal Sins, etc. If they will be moving this content over, how will they be handling it on the site? Obviously, the question there being, they don't have like selections in the player, it's all separate seasons. And like I said, I got a response, and I was very shocked when I seen this email. It says, hi Andrew, we'll investigate and report back. Crunchyroll subscribers over 18 can peruse mature gated content for a variety of series, but we'll look into the status on the titles you mentioned below. Sadly, shocked to nobody, never got a follow-up. Now, I did try to contact them again to give a follow-up, and again, no response, to a shock to nobody. My assumption here is that whoever is sending out this stuff is part of the PR team, and they have zero control over what gets moved and zero control over the decision making there. They probably went to them and said, hey, this guy is asking about why the uncensored stuff's not moved, and they said, we're not doing that, don't reply to it. And that was probably the end of it. And the concern that was really building up at me, and this was part of my email when I did a follow-up, was they did it again. They did it again. We got an update for new content coming from Funimation to Crunchyroll, and what was that? Higurashi When They Cry and Prison School. And a shock to nobody, Higurashi When They Cry is censored. All the violence is censored on it. And Prison School, subversion, censored. Now, the oddity here is that the dub version of Prison School is uncensored. So we're starting to create this, I don't know what's going on. I honestly don't. I don't have an answer for anybody. I joked about this with my brother saying there can be one of three things here. One is there's more than one person doing the transfers and somebody just doesn't know which ones to move. Two, they're trying to listen and maybe that is not getting across to the team. Or three, they're just grabbing the first one in the list and moving it. And maybe the one in the first in the list is the uncensored or censored version. They just don't know. It's too random at this point. It doesn't make any sense why they're doing what they're doing. It's so scattershot anymore that it doesn't make any sense. And then today happened. Today was a shining beacon of hope, honestly. Today marked the release of another batch of their titles, including one such, Valkyrie Drive Mermaid. And that is an extremely inappropriate show. It's through and through. This show is just for the sake of seeing hot girls losing their clothes. That's literally what this show is all about. And surprisingly enough, they moved the uncensored version over. Now, why that's such a shock is because on Funimation's platform, you can't access the uncut version. They only have the cut version, the original simulcast version. The only way on Funimation's platform that you could access the uncut version was to buy the Blu-ray or buy the digital version of it. So it's so weird. It makes no sense what is being allowed and what's not being allowed. And the second thing that was really crazy that happened today was that Crunchyroll started streaming Shin Ikitosen. And for those who don't know, Ikitosen is similar to Valkyrie Drive Mermaid, where it's all about hot girls fighting and their clothes getting shredded. And again, they're getting the uncensored version, which is a huge shock to me. When I heard that they were going to have it on their platform, I was like, that's going to be censored. They're definitely not going to get the later night version that airs in Japan. But again, they did. So again, it's a struggle for me. And I really wish I could get some sort of response from Crunchyroll. So if anybody knows anybody, because it seems like my contacts for Crunchyroll have either left the company or they're just quiet at this point. I just want to know. Give us an answer as to how this is being handled. Are you planning on moving everything and you're just scattershotting it right now? What is the deal? Either way, the promise that I'm getting and the positivity that I'm getting out of the situation is that despite these misses, like the subbed version of Prison School, like the entire version of Higurashi When They Cry Go and Sotsu being the censored version of it, because there's uncut stuff getting in there here and there, it gives me promise that there's not just a concerted effort to remove all uncensored content. That because some of this stuff is getting through, it proves to me that either they don't care or they're just not paying attention enough. And if their new leadership coming into Crunchyroll has any desire whatsoever to make sure that all this content and everybody's included and that we don't have to go somewhere else to get this content, make it clear. It's gonna come eventually. We're just getting this stuff moving. Stuff's getting missed, but we'll get it all over here eventually. Give us some sort of answer. Because yeah, looking back at Akudama Drive, Seven Mortal Sins, Azure Lanes, all those titles, they still only have the cut versions. Anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this update on the whole situation. Hopefully it gave you some sort of positivity. Hopefully we can get some sort of answer at this whole situation. I'm keeping up on it, mainly because this is an important thing. I think us keeping on top of them and voicing our concerns about this stuff is what's going to mold them in the future. If they don't hear us upset about this, they'll listen to the people that are upset about there being uncut content on there. Which voice do you want them to hear? But I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit that like button down below, comment, let me know what's about this whole situation. Subscribe if you have not already. I have content that covers top lists, first impressions, reviews. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, I'd appreciate it if you consider supporting us through our Patreon link or our tips link in the description below. It's videos like this where unfortunately it's covering a more spicier content, and YouTube, despite the fact that I'll dance around my word usage, never likes to support that stuff, so a lot of the ad stuff will often get kind of toned down, and thus it doesn't make much money. But people that support us through Patreon and our tips link is a direct way that you guys can support us, and I appreciate every single one of you guys. Additionally, despite that, sharing out this video definitely helps us out a lot, so if you like this topic, and like I said before, want to get the word out there, tell people what's going on with this content. It's really easy to miss this stuff because it's kind of going through this backdoor feed of Crunchyroll's site, so you don't get to see which versions of everything's popping up. And I'm taking the time to really go in there and look at that stuff for you guys so that you are aware of it, so you can see those signs for the future of the platform. And like I said, if we don't make our voice be heard now, respectfully by the way, don't harass people, but if we let our voice be heard respectfully, they'll hear our voice and not the ones saying that they need to censor everything on Crunchyroll. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this video again, and y'all take care.